Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? All right, awesome. Welcome to New Orleans Jazz Museum. I am Ranger Hunter Miles Davis here with the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park. Give it up this afternoon. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining us here in this lovely space presented to you all by the New Orleans Jazz Museum. Our mission as the National Park Service here is to instill a public appreciation for the history, origins, and development of jazz in the city that it was birthed in, New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Now today we do that through different programming, and today we have a great group of gentlemen who will be presenting to you some traditional New Orleans music as well as some special treats and surprises in there for you. So without further ado, I'll let the band introduce ourselves after we finish this first selection. Well, first, let's bring out the bass player, Mr. Kerry Lewis. And he is also my fellow park ranger here with the New Orleans Jazz National Historical Park. And we have Mr. Josh Starkman on guitar this afternoon. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Jamil Sharif on trumpet and vocals.
Thank you very, very much, music lovers. Good night. I'm just messing with you. How you guys doing this afternoon? I wish you guys could see the view, how you guys look from up here, man. Fantastic, man. You know what I think I'm going to do? You're such a fantastic artist. I'm going to take you guys and remember the show I Dream of Jeannie? Yeah. See, if you remember that, now you're showing your age, man. I'm going to get you guys and put you in one of those bottles and just take you with me so whenever I go perform somewhere and I need an audience, I'm just going to open the bottle and you guys are just going to pop out, man. You know? Well, good to see everybody. I want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. It's good to see not only adults, but some youngsters as well. You know, this music that we're doing referred to as New Orleans traditional jazz, but we're going to sort of mix it up. New Orleans being the birthplace of jazz, people often ask us, you know, so what makes New Orleans music so special? You know, it's all about the feeling of it in addition to collective improvisation. Now, that doesn't mean, say, what is improvisation? That's just basically spontaneous invention. So when the musicians are playing, they're just not just playing anything. You know, what's important is that you have to listen to what's going on. You know, a good example, this is our first time actually, you know, playing together today. So we've never really had the opportunity to really play. So it's important that we all listen to see what's going on so that you don't either overstep someone's boundary or do something that's going to sort of sound out of place, because it will be obvious, you know. Just that. But this is sort of not like a concert, you know. We just want you guys to relax and so, you know, question and answer. So if you have any questions, don't be shy. Just, you know, raise your hand or something, and we'll be sure to, you know, answer your questions. How many folks we have visiting New Orleans for the first time? Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, don't let it be your last time, you know. Just, you know, New Orleans is such a wonderful place, you know, born and raised in New Orleans. Had the opportunity to do a lot of wonderful things. But I'm not going to do that much talking because I know you guys want to hear some music, you know. So we're going to get to the music. That first tune was a composition titled Strutting with Some Barbecue, which was written by Louis Armstrong's second wife, Lil Hardin, and she was the pianist in Louis Armstrong's mentor's band, King Oliver. So when you hear the tune say Strutting with Some Barbecue, that's not necessarily mean as far as food. You know, that's the first thing people think about, you know, because you think of New Orleans and food. It was actually referring to someone like a young lady, you know, walking down the street and just sort of parade, you know, just, you know, taking your time. It's like, you know, having a new car. What's the first thing you want to do? You want to drive around and take your time. You don't want just, let me just kind of drive. I want everybody to see me like, yeah, that's right. I don't touch, but just look, you know. So it's the same thing with the, you know, Strutting with Some Barbecue. That's what that refers to. This next tune is entitled When You're Smiling, the Whole World. And then they pick your pocket. Nah, I'm just playing. So by all means, if you want to join in and sing, by all means. You bring on the rain, so stop that sighing. Whoa, when you're smiling, whoa, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, whoa, when you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, you bring on the rain. So stop that whining. Be happy again. Won't keep on smiling. 'Cause when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're smiling, thank you very, very much. You know, in New Orleans, there's just so many great musicians that have come out of New Orleans. We can spend, hours just talking about all the great musicians and their contribution. Of course, Louis Armstrong, without a doubt, was the most impactful musician of all time. Not just because he influenced trumpet players, but he influenced singers as well. I remember there was a quote that Bing Crosby made. He said that Louis Armstrong is the beginning and end of music in America. I often like to tell this story that when Louis Armstrong was traveling throughout the world, this music was becoming very, very popular. So they didn't get the opportunity to hear him except on recordings. So when they had the opportunity to hear him live, it was just overwhelming. I remember there was one concert that Louis Armstrong, he was touring in Europe. And everyone was excited to see him. This is a true story. We're excited to see him. That they were just amazed of what he was doing. That after one of his concerts, they just couldn't believe what they were hearing. They insisted on inspecting his trumpet. They thought he had like a trick mouthpiece and a trick horn. They said this is impossible. And that is one person that when you talk about, I have not heard anyone say a bad thing about Louis Armstrong. I just think about that. In this world, I'm thinking there's got to be one person that says, but everyone you talk to. But you can hear that in his playing. There was a lot of love. He was a people's person. Just one thing about him. He loved playing. He loved New Orleans, and he just loved sharing the music with the rest of the world. That being said, there was another great musician by the name of Jelly Roll Morton. Okay, everyone heard of Jelly Roll Morton, eh? Of course, he claimed that he invented jazz, so I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Well, anyway, it's kind of ironic because there's a tune that he wrote called "I Thought I Heard Buddy Bolden Say." Now, Buddy Bolden was known as the first great jazz man. That's the right. Louis Armstrong, when he was a young boy, used to go and listen to Buddy. His name was Charles Buddy Bolden. There aren't any recordings of him, but rumor has it that he could just play so loud that he would be on one side of the river and the people on the other side, and the Algiers could hear it. But there's a tune that we're going to do for you that I had the opportunity to record this. How many folks remember Dr. John? Yeah. I worked with Dr. John for many, many years and had the opportunity to record with him on his album that he won a Grammy for, Going Back to New Orleans. And this tune that we're about to do for you, originally this was not supposed to be on we say album back then because this was back in like in '92. I know with all the technology you have Spotify and all the other things, CDs. But originally this tune was not supposed to be on the album. How did it come about? We were rehearsing at the manager's house. Now, Doc, we call him Mac. He wasn't at the rehearsal, but we, meaning me along with the other members of the band, were rehearsing the tune that we're going to be going into the studio. And on that session, there are a lot of great musicians. If you haven't heard that recording, that album, it's a lot of great musicians. Pete found Al Hurt, the Noble Brothers. He just has like a gumbo of great New Orleans musicians on there. Well, Danny Barker, the great guitarist and banjos who played with Cap Calloway, who was not only a wonderful banjo and guitarist, but he wrote a lot of wonderful songs like Don't You Feel My Leg, Save the Bone for Mr. For Henry Jones, because Henry doesn't like meat. He wrote a lot of great songs. Well, while we were rehearsing, I was going over this song. I said, Mr. Barker, I says, I want to make sure I got the melody right on this. So he says, yeah, go ahead and play it. So I'm just playing, and he played it. He said, yeah, that's it. So, of course, then I didn't think nothing of it. I just wanted to go over it with him. Well, I get to the studio the next day, and Max says, hey, Jamil, come here. He said, man, that tune that you and Danny were going over. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you weren't at the rehearsal. Well, of course, they were recording the rehearsal so that he can listen to everything. So when he come into the studio, it just makes things a lot easier. He said, that tune that you and Danny said, we want to record that. Okay, fine. So we recorded that with Dr. John singing. Danny Barker starts off. I started playing, and Danny Barker starts singing, and Dr. John, and then we take the tune out. And this is Jelly Roll Morton's composition called I Thought I Heard Buddy Bolden Say. I hope I still remember the lyrics. I haven't played this in I don't know how long, but this is our rendition of that. Open up that window, let that foul air out. Open up that window, let that bad air out. Yes, I thought I heard Buddy Bolden say. Thought I heard Buddy Bolden say, you're nasty, you're dirty, take it away. You're terrible, you're awful, take it away. I thought I heard Buddy Bolden say, thought I heard Buddy Bolden shout, open up that window, let that bad air out. Open up that window, let that foul air out. Yes, I thought I heard Buddy Bolden say. Thank you very much. You know, that album is called Going Back to New Orleans. There are a lot of great songs on that. As a matter of fact, there's one of the songs, the title track, I think it's in The Princess and the Frog, Going Back to New Orleans. Yeah, that's on the, I think one of the Disney's movie. So does anybody has any questions? This is question time. Don't be shy, guys. You know, don't everybody talk at once, man. Yes, ma'am. I set my armature, yes, to make sure I'm consistent in playing. Very few people, that's my, you know, that's my signature. People ask me, I said, I make sure that it's, you know. Now I hit them high notes because I'm like, where are you from? All right, welcome. Are you a musician? I see you singing. You were singing along with some of the songs. Okay. Excellent. Great. Welcome to New Orleans, guys. All right. Any more questions? Come on, guys. Yes.
How have y'all learned your instruments? Have you been classically trained, or did you just learn yourself?
Great question. I'll answer for you, and we'll let the other gentleman. Yes, I started off playing. You know, still love classical music. But that, you know, dealing with fundamentals, I think that's important for all musicians. You know, sometimes, you know, when we get this question asked a lot, see people, you know, did you learn by ear? Or did you, no, I had private instructors. I had some of the best private instructors, you know, that my father insisted on that. But I think it's very important, you know, for a lot of people as far as getting into music, you know, especially if you have someone, a lot of young people, they're interested, you know, parents ask me, say, well, what should I do? I say, well, if they're serious about it, make sure they get with the private instructor so that they can get the fundamentals down. So, because even if they decide to do it for maybe 1 or 2 years, they still have that foundation. So often, you know, they may start and then later on they do something else, but if they're able to come back and revisit and they still remember that. So, anybody else want to answer the question? Wait here.
Thank you very much. Hi, Joshua Starkman here on the microphone. Thank you. Big fan. I'm a fan of you, actually. That's what I meant. I moved here to New Orleans about 12 years ago, and I got my master's at the University of New Orleans, which is a great school with a great faculty. Did you teach there at one point, Jamil? Or?
I did not.
No? You've taught around town, though, I'm sure, universities. Yeah. So I went to Florida State before that and from Miami originally. But like Mr. Sharif was saying, formal instruction is important, but also like I've spent a decade essentially gigging and playing, and I'm sure you have as well, Carrie, and I mean many more decades than I have. But that's super valuable as well, to play gigs that you may not even like. You know, it's like showing up to work. You know, you get those hours in. And yeah, so a mixture of formal and informal playing, I guess, but constantly doing it and constantly wanting to get better. Carrie? Ditto. Mr. Davis?
Yeah, so I'm somewhat the same. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Moving here to New Orleans, I've been here for about 2 years. Actually, this is my 2-year anniversary working with the Park Service. So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, July 18th, 2 years ago, I made that move here. I learned from playing in church. I grew up in church, and I learned playing drum set from that aspect. But I was always introduced to jazz music, relatively speaking. Through that time, I pretty much, from growing up, from playing in church to all the way until high school, I started to have more of a desire to play jazz and learn more about it. And so I started to listen to some more music. I was always a fan of the genre, so I listened to Miles, obviously being named after a good musician. But, I later on wanted to study and involve myself in what he was actually doing and playing. So, like I said, high school, started to dive into it more, went to school, got a degree in production, audio production. But then working with the Park Service has introduced me to great musicians that you see on this wonderful stage. And being able to play with them is how I'm learning now, even on a day-to-day basis, just being around and listening to everything that we're pretty much conversing about through instruments on the stage. So that's my biggest learning curve, if you will.
Great question. Absolutely. I saw another, yes. It is. Sometimes, for example, if we playing the blues, if it's a slow blues, I try to get sort of we refer to it in terms of a growling effect. Think about, jazz musicians, especially horn players. Early on, when this music was becoming very popular, the horn players used to try to imitate the singers in the church. So when you hear the singers doing certain things, whether they bending notes or a certain growl, the horn players will try to get that sort of vocal quality or that kind of feeling in their playing. So if I'm playing like something slow, I'm thinking of like an old blues singer, like somebody like Bessie Smith. Is she, that's sort of, it's like a whining, or if you're doing something like a fast blues. So it depends on, in terms of the tune. But not just necessarily just a blues, but just I may be playing like a ballad or something. I may want to get something a little bit more, silkier. It depends on the song and the context. Yeah, great question, man. Keep them coming. Yes, sir. Young man in the back. You might want to speak up just a little bit, and I can come look for you. You don't be shy. You're not going to see these people again. No. When the blues created. Ooh, man. Wow. Yeah, that's.
When the first guy got turned down.
Yeah. Oh, I done lost a job, but I can't get no more. All my baby done left. Yeah. It's just. It's you can ask that. I'm gonna try to be as. Just because again, you can ask that question to somebody from the Delta, and they're gonna give you somebody like who like Muddy Waters, So you're gonna be, it's it's and the blues not necessarily mean that it's something sad, you could be, you could play, you'd be happy, Right now, if somebody said, man, like that lottery's up to 1 billion, right? Somebody wanted to be like, man, let's play a blues. You gonna play like a happy blues, like, guess what? I done won the lottery, See you, So it can be a number of things in terms of feelings, but say as far as when it was created, you want to say maybe to come out of the church in terms of out of the during the time when the the slaves on the plantation. You know, it's but I'm gonna leave that one alone for you, man.
Such a compacted question.
Yes, sir. Dizzy Gillespie. Yeah, that's one of my, you know.
Is that just your style, or is that how you learn?
Well, you know, I guess after seeing Disney, a few other people, just not thinking about it, just, you know, to me, I'm just trying to get more air and more, you know, through the horn. So, but yeah, you know, some do it, some don't. It just, you know, yeah, that's just, you know, something that when you see me, you say, oh, yeah, that's Jamil. I know that it is, man. You know? Yeah. You want? Yes, sir. Oh, let me see. No. He basically trying to say, how old are you? That's what he wants, you know. No, say over 45 years. Yeah, I'm still, I'm almost 60 years old, man. You know, I'll be 60 in September. So, I mean, you know, just, but, you know, music has been in my family since the late 1800s. You know, it's one thing about New Orleans is that there are a lot of musical families. Are you familiar with a Preservation Hall? Okay, the Humphrey brothers. Willie Humphrey, Percy Humphrey, and they had a brother named Earl Humphrey. Those are my cousins on my daddy's side. So to kind of give you, my great-grandfather was J.B. Humphrey, and he used to teach music throughout the plantations in Louisiana. He was born in Sellers, Louisiana, which is now Norco. The former governor at the time had asked him to go around to teach various musicians, and he taught syncopation to the musicians. So a lot of the musicians today that who have students of his, some of the brass band, they were taught by my grandfather. They used to refer to him as Professor Humphrey. There was one story that the great clarinetist John Casimir, who played with Louis Armstrong, and this was you can look this up. I thought it was so funny that he was one of my great grandfather's students, and he was coming out of a lesson, and one day, you know, my great grandfather had caught him, you know, showing somebody, you know, how to. I'll tell you the person who it was, but he was showing them how to make a certain note on the trumpet. You know who that person was? Louis Armstrong. So my great grandfather called him and said, "Man, what are you doing showing this fella this?" And he said, "You get it to him for free, and you know, you paying for it." You know, but some of his other students, Sam Morgan, Kid Ory, though they started with. So fast forward, my mother, my grandmother, and Willie Humphrey, their father were brothers and sisters. So that's the connection in terms of as far as my family in terms of music. My father played music. He played trumpet with Lionel Hampton. He was one of the original members that played Lincoln Center Orchestra. He did the musical Black and Blue. The Wiz played, you know. So people say, "How did you get started?" You know, my father, he didn't want me to start playing trumpet. I just, you know, I used to go with him, and I just say, well, the school I wanted to go to at the time, I had to play a musical instrument. I said, well, okay, I'll pick up the trumpet. And of course, you know, the rest of the history started, you know, been playing, I've been blessed, you know. I'm not keep playing. I saw another question, another hand somewhere? Yes.
Yeah, how old is your trumpet, and how many trumpets have you had in your lifetime, and do you own more than one trumpet, well, basically, how many have you owned in your lifespan? Oh, how long does your instrument last? Or how long would you keep it for?
Great question. I know you guys looking like, say, let me see if I can. Okay. I have about 4 trumpets. Okay. Trumpet will last as long as you take care of it. I mean, if you playing every day, like in some unfavorable conditions, you know, personally, I take this one, I get it clean like every 6 months, you know, thorough cleaning in terms of just inside and out. But it's interesting you said, I'll tell you, this particular horn, this is a Shilky trumpet that was made out of Chicago. Now, what's special about this horn? I still have it, identical except that it's an older model. During Katrina, that horn, you know, when we left, you evacuated, you know, I left, I wasn't even thinking. I figured, okay, you know, hurricane coming, just may won't be much. I'll come back. Well, that horn was, you know, got damaged in the storm. So I'm like, man, what am I going to do? So I remember we had gone to Atlanta, and I was just thinking, you know, like most of it, like, what are you going to do? And I remember calling the Shoki company in Chicago. I said, look, I wouldn't even think about a horn because I left everything. I said, do you have like a mouthpiece or something? And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in Atlanta. And the guy says, oh, yeah, you know, he said, okay, we'll send you a mouthpiece. So, well, 3 days later, they sent me a mouthpiece and this horn. So that's what made this is very special. So I was like, you know, I wasn't even expecting, I guess, you know, in terms of just everything that we're going through. But does that answer all your questions as far as the...
Well, yeah, in a sense, how many have you had in your lifespan? I guess you lost some during the period.
Well, no, that particular one, I didn't lose. I thought I did, but when I had come back, you know, of course, I had to get some work done on it. But I would say maybe I've had about 2 that I've sold and gotten other trumpets, you know. But yeah, I'm not one. Let me get like, you know, 7 and 8 trumpets. You can only play one at a time. Well, some of you play 2, but I mean, you know. But I do have, you know, this one and another one. In any event that something happens, because, you know, you got to have a backup just in case, you know, something happens. And that Mr. Murphy is always present. You know, something's gonna happen. So yeah. And the thing is, like anything, you know, you just got to, you know, try to just take care of it and maintain it, you know. Yeah, I'm going to take one more question. We're going to play some more music. Yes? What time is it? It's about 2 o'clock? No, as I mentioned, you know, we've been playing, actually this is I want to say maybe my 3rd time, you know, playing with Josh. And then Carrie and I have played together many times. Hannah played with him a couple of times. But as a band, this is the 2nd time that we played together as a band. We played last week and today, you know. Y'all want to hear some more music? Yeah. Okay, good. As I mentioned, you know, the influence that Louis Armstrong had on a lot of musicians, but singers as well. One in particular was Miss Billie Holiday. And, you know, it was someone asked her, how did you develop your style? And she said, listening to Louis Armstrong. So we're going to do one of the many numbers that she recorded. It's entitled, Them, Their Eyes. on to some of them there eyes. You better look on little brown eyes, yeah, why? They sparkle, they a bubble, ooh, I'm gonna get you in trouble, ooh, ooh, baby, them there eyes. Thank you all very, very much. Have you guys had a great time? Not as much fun as we've been having. Well, it's come that time for us to do our final number, but before we do, help me thank these wonderful musicians. At the guitar, how about it for Joshua Starkman? Kerry Lewis, contrabass. And I know you're not going to forget this name, Hunter Miles Davis. My name is Jamil Sharif at the trumpet. Thank you all very, very much. Hope you all have a wonderful time in New Orleans. Get the opportunity, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of venues for music, a lot of places to see, get the opportunity. People often ask, what can we do? Take the streetcar. Streetcar will take you through the Garden District. You can see the wonderful homes, the university, visit Alderman Park or City Park. Get the opportunity. You can take the ferry on the other side to Algiers. You can visit Mardi Gras World where they make the floats. Yeah, that's about it. Any other final question before we do this final number? Yes, sir. My favorite song? The last song. This is it. Anybody been on the? You've been on the? Yes, sir. I do. Yeah, I've done a lot of composing. Some of my music. I've been blessed to have appeared in a lot of different movies and television. If you visit my website, you'll see some of the things. It's jamilsharif.com. You'll see some of the things, but. Yeah, I've been blessed. I don't like to use the word lucky. It's just done a lot of wonderful things. But that being said, we're going to end this set on a tune. Anybody been down to Bourbon Street? Yeah. I know. I spent the week there one night, man. No, that's just a joke. So we're going to end this. This is entitled The Bourbon Street Parade.
you all for joining us here today at the New Orleans Jazz Museum. If you would like to see more programming like this, please visit us down the street at our 419 Decatur Street location. If you have any questions or concerns, we will be here at the front of the stage for a couple of minutes, so feel free to come up and ask. But thank you for joining us here today. Have a great rest of your day. Stay hydrated.